Hi guys, welcome to another week of the SportsHeads. I'm joined by Andre and Daniel once again. This time, yes, you can tell it's me that will be putting the briefing together. Andre's been itching to get some of his views across. So the format won't have changed. The guys will have 2 minutes to discuss. You can be cheeky with it, leave someone on a cliffhanger where you can, and obviously get your view across the best possible way. Topics will be different, and this time we'll be venturing into a different sport with NASCAR. Bubba Watson, one of the, or if not the only, black driver in the competition. He's had a few struggles trying to get involved with the Black Lives Matter movement, and recently this week actually came into his garage to find a noose in there. So I'm going to start with Andre and sort of just get your thoughts on the whole situation of how he's dealing with it and how the actual organisation are going to deal with this matter as well.
Hats off to Bubba Watson for keeping going. Like he's just made it clear that like it's not going to stop him in any form of way, and I think it's just like a real cowardly act. And obviously, I can't say what I really would like to say because we want to get monetized. I just feel that like with this type of cowardly stuff is going to keep on going on. But I was really, impressed with, how quickly NASCAR reacted to it, making an announcement, not sweeping it under the carpet, making sure that people know what's happened, and then also the other drivers as well, engineers, technicians, everything, like surrounding him and walking with him with his car, like that is like a sign to me that these guys are in it seriously. It's not a gimmick. It's not something that just want to just do for sponsors. That they actually want to make a change, and they're going to get new fans from it. But like these cowardly guys who are saying, okay, well it's our Southern heritage, and that's what it's not that. It's just pure unfiltered racism and cowardly acts that you're gonna not stay there to be able to confront him or say what you want to say. You want to do kid tricks by putting the noose in his truck. And I'm just really hope that they find. Well, I mean, the only thing I want NASCAR to do is to be able to find the culprit and report him to the authorities quickly, because it is, to me, and I'm very sure to other people, a hate crime. And this is not something that is acceptable anymore, and people are not going to take this stuff anymore.
That's unlike you to finish before his time as well. Wow. Interesting. Daniel, what's your view on that? Have you got anything to say?
So I think, firstly, it didn't really make sense why the individuals would do it. Obviously, NASCAR came up with their ban on the Confederate flag, which was one. Which, if you disagree with it, that's one thing. But then to put a noose a few days after that in the garage of the only black driver in NASCAR, I think that was only going to push NASCAR to further, further push them on that agenda of we need to get rid of the, Confederate flag. So whoever did it didn't actually do themselves a favor. They must have, probably been drunk, thought, yeah, let's do this, let's show it, let's intimidate him. But, when an organization said they don't want to promote racism, and then you do a symbol that's associated with racism, what do you think they're going to do? The only obvious thing is to actually go and strengthen their desire to get rid of this. And I think for them, it's really showing like, look, no, this is actually a racist gesture, because when we banned it a few days after, we've had a racist gesture in return. So, kudos to NASCAR. I think they're trying to appeal to a broader audience and not just focus on that sort of core individuals in the South that are still clinging to sort of the sort of legacies of segregation and slavery. I think Bubba, that was a very good thing, in terms of him, in terms of being brave, in terms of not being intimidated. And I'm going to be interested to see how he continues racing, because to be fair, before this whole incident, I didn't know who Bubba Ray was. I knew about NASCAR, didn't really follow it. So if anything, this is now put more attention on Bubba, it's now put more attention on the sport, and it's probably going to encourage more, definitely younger generations, but just different fans in the sport to go into it. So I just feel like whoever did it was just ill. It just wasn't really thought out really that well. And it shows it, because now you're probably going to push it even further to making it a bit more of an inclusive sport.
I just want to make one point.
I knew
about
there was
this.
going to be something.
Yeah, it's just, you know what? To me, it's this. It's because obviously in the UK, obviously in the Premier League, we've had a clown paying out of his own money to be able to fly on White Lives Matter just before the kneel, and obviously the attention we're actually bringing to the Black Lives Matter movement in the UK through the Premier League. It's cowardly acts like that actually makes people dig in even deeper, and then make us all band together even more. And this whole nonsense about oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep on being racist, keep on saying stupid or dumb things, like, and then thinking it's clever, it's going to make people kind of not race or not play football. All that happened is that players or drivers will band together more, and then maybe start striking, or maybe all the black players from the Premier League will stop playing. Won't play for a game, just to be able to teach you a lesson. We'll see what happens then, and see how far you get without any black players on there. It's this type of stuff that makes you dig in deeper. Everyone band together more, and then the fact that we want to show everyone that you're not going to win, but you keep on doing that, then at some point one of the players or teams or from whatever sport will just say, all right, we're going to strike, just so you understand.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, it doesn't come to that, and obviously, people in the world do obviously fix up a little bit. We've said this before. I think some of it's going to come down to some of the new generation coming through. Unfortunately, there's still a few people, hard heads, that obviously their minds will not change no matter what. You can tell them that if they think the sky is purple right now, that it'd be hard to convince them otherwise. That they've got that sort of mindset. So, but yeah.
Can't re-educate that type of stupid.
No, and this isn't going to happen overnight, guys. So, and I'm sure
this includes all lives matters people, all of those like corny, hashtags on comments. Like, it's just not. It's not impressing anyone in any way.
You're going to have to go back to being the referee, because there's a player well over time here, by the way, well over time. So anyway,
look at my goat.
It is an important, obviously, conversation to be had, and obviously, I'm sure, as I say, this won't be the last that we'll be talking about something like this. But I would like to move on, moderator, and actually moving on to Dak Prescott, Mr. Shake the Hips. He's decided to. He's not decided. The Cowboys have now put together his contract, which is, I believe, is now signed. This has been rumbling as well for Dak and the Cowboys for some time. Obviously, with him signing, do you think the deal is the right deal for both sides, and for the money that he's actually being given? Why have they used up so much of the cap on Dak when they could have probably gone out and got a stronger QB? I'm going to start with you, Daniel.
So I think, just sort of correction, he signed the franchise tag. So he hasn't actually signed an official sort of long-term deal, but the franchise tag, I believe, is 31 million, and that's completely against the cap. Or he's going to sign it, and obviously he's got, I think, up to the 15th of July, or 5th of July, before signing a full-time extension. I think it works in Dak's favor to sign the franchise tag, because you're making, he would have made what? Maybe he's made 4 million in his career so far. He's gone from that to now making 31 in a year. So it makes sense for that. But they've also got Andy Dalton as a backup as well. So I think for the Cowboys, rightly so, they did not want to spend that much money, that much money on Dak. Dak felt he was a 40 million or highest quarterback in the league sort of individual. He's not. I think he's probably maybe 12th, 13th base quarterback in the league, and he should be paid that. So I think for 31 is a good value for Dak. I think he needs to be realistic, because if he signs the franchise tag and he does play on the franchise tag, and Andy Dalton comes in and steps up and does really well, he's not really got legs to stand on. So if I was him, I would have signed, for 34, 35. The difference between that, what the Cowboys were, reportedly offering him up at sort of 34, 35 to 40 million isn't that massive or big of a jump. You know, you're talking about sort of 5-6 million. When you're making over 30 million, 5 or 6 million isn't really that significant. That being said, I'm not making that money, so I don't know. I'm just, probably talking about my arse. So yeah, but I'll probably sign a 30, let alone 40. So yeah, so that's just me personally. So but yeah, I think with Dak, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think yeah, I'm a bit wary about that, to be fair.
Cool.
I mean,
Andre, 2 minutes.
my take on it is this: is it's more about I'm not really bothered about the actual the figure. Obviously, he deserves it because obviously I think he's proven himself. And okay, if you're going to argue, it's a different debate if you're arguing should he actually be the highest QB, because obviously that's a matter of opinion, effectively. But at the end of the day, he's been a very good quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Professional, leads by example, no problems whatsoever outside. I mean, except for this, like the last secret party, whatever they had. But apart, if that's the biggest thing that they've had to put up with compared to what they've had to with Zeke, and Zeke's had his money and got a chunk of it guaranteed. I just don't understand why they're treating him like that and what they're waiting for. So if I was him, then I would start thinking of moving on, after this season. Because after he signs this deal, if he's not going to be getting, if they're going to sign him again, I think there's going to come to a point where he's just going to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to remember the fact that you guys have strung me along, made me have to prove myself, and then my stats is just as good as some of the top tier, not the elite, but top tier QBs. So I don't understand why he's had to jump through hoops and dance and, flip backwards and all these things that he's had to do to be able to get a deal for people that are far less of a quarterback. I know Paulie from SportsHeads would disagree, but for someone like, Carson Wentz, who hasn't really done much, to be honest with you, why, he's taken this team, and I'm not a Cowboys fan, but he's taking this team on his back. So, we'll see what you guys think.
Yeah, the Carson Wentz, I think that you were going along well, and you kind of the Carson Wentz thing. I'm not
my
sure.
Little digging for the Eagles.
Yeah, I know you really were. I tell you what, just on that, you both make good points. I think the thing to think about is that if Dak is even thinking about going next year, he's going to have some trouble finding a starting place. I think. If we look at the teams he's going to try to go for, he wants to probably go to an elite team. Everyone's covered. Who's he going to replace? Yeah,
I don't think he would. I don't think he minds about where he's going to go. Because obviously, you've got teams like the Chargers who are just absolutely terrible. But obviously, he could do a good job there. There's other teams who will get rid of their quarterback really quickly for Dak. I think Dak is a top of the mid-range QBs. I think personally, I think that he's.
Why would you give away if you're doing a trade? You're giving away something. You're not going to give away something from a mediocre player.
And also to add on to Sam, Chargers will not. They just drafted Herbert with the 6th pick. They're not. Sam's right. When you look at the teams right now, I think this is an era of actually, I won't say golden QBs, but it's an era on which satisfactory QBs are at the forefront in terms of teams are not struggling. It's one of the reasons why Cam wasn't signed to a team. Because you look at most teams now have at least a QB that they can at least rally against or rally for. Maybe the Bears, you can argue the Bears will probably be one. But, New York, you've got Dan Jones
Trubisky's been replaced already, though.
Yeah, but I don't think Nick Foles is a long-term solution. So that's what I mean in terms of him that going there. But when you look at...
You got the Jaguars and people like that as well. So the Jags haven't got a...
The Jags, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you've got a handful of teams, and a really small handful of teams. You've probably got the Jags.
But if you're looking to make that Bears, top level money, that the end of the day is that there's going to be lots of teams who want him. And I think that you're looking at a role model as well as a leader. Like we can't. I'm not clearly not a Cowboys fan, but I do think that he's actually done well in the leadership.
Would you take
wait. Before I lose my job as the main man here, twice now extra time. So that's it. Yeah, your bonus overtime done. Right, next. We can go on to people that are obviously full of hot air and trying to get their next big deal. Jamal Adams. Now, there's been a clip going around, obviously, where they say about it being the clip's being aged well when he goes to practice at the Jets and he tries to get in and his code doesn't work 2 or 3 times. And he says, oh my God, I've been cut already. He's obviously being moved out. And I think actually now, if he was to go to the practice centre, yes, he would be locked out. He's now officially put in a request to be traded. This guy is a very good safety, demanding money that you would probably want, again, a top QB for. Do you think this is a decision that's been made by him, outside influences? And if he does obviously get what he wants, who's actually going to spend the money? What team do you see him landing at? And I'll go with Andre. And I say this. Yeah.
My take is this. What he's actually done is actually kind of ruined, the Jets' bargaining position, because, at the end of the day, if you keep on stating that you want to go to the Cowboys and that's the only people you want to go to, then what other teams are going to really come in for you? Plus obviously your rookie contract's coming to an end. So what is there? So really, you've actually, lessened the position of the team, and I don't know if you've made it less likely that it's actually going to happen, because if it's if you've kind of ruined their bargaining position, well, what they're going to be getting back, where it could have been something decent, now it's going to be peanuts. Because obviously, look, you don't want to go to nowhere else. No one else is coming for him. So therefore, here's your offer. You're going to have to take your medicine. What was the thinking behind it? Just keep on saying it. So you want to be traded from the Jets to be able to go to another team that's actually going to compete. Great, but don't say just the Cowboys, because obviously you're ruining it for your team and your own money as well. The whole thing for me doesn't make sense in any form of way, and I can't see any way that he's going to be able to go, because the Cowboys are not going to be letting him go. The Cowboys are not going to be offering top dollar, top trade for him. Now they know that he wants to, come there no matter what.
Yeah. Well, you finished. Hey. Daniel, where you go?
I think, firstly, to answer the first question, yes, I do think he's being influenced by outside forces, because I think in this time period right now, with COVID, with people losing their jobs, with uncertainty about the season itself and how that will look like, to now be demanding top dollar. I know he was doing it earlier in the year, but to be demanding top dollar now at this particular point when teams aren't even training, and we don't really know what the situation is, how the league's going to start, I think it's poor, and he's definitely been advised poorly in that regards. I think overall, he's the Jets' best player, but he's also a safety, and that's sort of going against him. I think sometimes players need to understand the position they play in, like running backs as well. You see sort of Melvin Gordon holding out. You got to understand your position and your bargaining power. A running back these days doesn't have that bargaining power. And it's not a situation where it's a bit like Earl Thomas as a safety for Seattle when he went to Baltimore. Earl Thomas was arguably the best safety in the league, future Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winner. Jamal Adams is third year now? As he's finished his third year. You don't have that cachet. And for me, you're a good safety. You're not a great safety. You're not Hall of Fame type level safety. And for me, I look at it and I'm just, let's relax. You still got 2 more years on your deal. So it's not even like you've got your last year. You've got 2 more years with a 5th-year option. They can still franchise tag you. You don't really have any bargaining power or leverage, and it just doesn't make sense why he's pushing it at this, like I said, at this time period in particular. I don't think people are going to really sympathize with him, particularly fans who are struggling right now and want the Jets to do well. And, end of the day, I think sometimes you sign the contract, honor it. Yes, you outperform your contract, but the levels that you're asking for, and just do it privately. I think sometimes doing it in the open, and going back to what Dre said, it hampers the Jets' ability to have any bargaining power, and that means that the Jets are going to be less inclined to actually give you what you want as a result. Cool,
nice, good timing. I've got 2 more topics to go through with you guys. I'm going to remain in the NFL. This is a little bonus one before we move on to the NBA. It's been reported that Antonio Brown is going to get a landing spot again at the Seahawks or the Ravens, which is being touted around so far. This guy is good, but he also has the same amount of lives as a cat right now. A bit like how Josh Gordon is obviously trying to get reinstated. How do you see it playing out? And I was going to go to you with this, Daniel. How do you see this playing out if he does join one of those two teams? Do you see it being a good move for either the Seahawks or Ravens? And two, do you actually see him playing it out for the whole season then?
So I preface this by saying I'm a Seahawks fan. So just putting it out there. But that being said, if I'm being from a neutral point of view, I think Seattle need AB more than the Ravens. I think the Ravens offensively are quite stacked. Yes, he had another weapon for Lamar, but he's got the running game, he's got the throwing game, he's got great tight ends. Seattle don't really have great wide receivers. I'm not trying to shit on the guys there. They're just not, it's not a bona fide number one receiver. But going back to this sort of the AB situation, I think it's tricky. I think if you went to the Ravens, I think their culture is quite strong and quite unique in the sense that if he went there and started misbehaving, I think the Ravens won't have it. I think when it comes to sort of culture in the AFC, I think you've got the Patriots and you've got the Ravens. You've still got that sort of strong defense, strong characters, personality from the Ray Lewis era that sort of won't let AB, sort of mess around. Seattle's a bit different because Seattle, we all know Pete Carroll's a player coach. He likes his players to be outspoken and talk all the time. But it backfired with him with the Legion of Boom and the way they talked about him with the Super Bowl and Russell Wilson. So I don't think AB is from a personality set point of view and personality will fit well with Seattle. I think he probably fit better in the culture in the Ravens because the Ravens can sort of manage that. I think he could be very disruptive. But then again, also, people forget Seattle isn't really talked about in the media. They're so far west that, they're not really in the media's eye. They're not really in the sort of media's bubble. So, you could probably get away with a few things. But I think the main thing is whether or not he can actually play, not physically, but by the league standard, because he still hasn't been, sort of tried by the league for the situations and incidents. So, if he does sign and then he can't play for the whole season, it is kind of pointless. And I think the league needs to come out and actually say or give the situation with AB.
Cool. Nice. I think if if we just look at him just on the field, obviously just I know he's been training with Deion Sanders, who's actually kind of aiming to get him back on the straight and narrow and make him see his mistakes for himself. I think with AB, like if he can actually just be focused just on the game and without any outside antics, and let's say in theory they don't ban him straight away, then the Seahawks have got something serious. At the moment, obviously they've got Lockett and DK Metcalf as their like main two that Russell Wilson will go to. But you got a serious threat there, and then that's something that would actually, in the NFC West, that would be, that makes them contenders automatically because, no one can actually deny him. Antonio Brown on the field works his backside off. His productivity is always high, even in that one game that he played for the Patriots. But he made a massive difference to them. I think they would have got back to the Super Bowl easily if they had him. So wherever he goes as an actual player, no one can actually deny what's gonna that he's gonna improve the team. It's just that the whole circus around him. If that has not gone, the whole mess and the whole distractions around him, then there's no point in signing him. But if and that's a big if, it's going to be all kosher, then, and you got one hell of a player, and they're definitely going to be up there for contention.
I don't want him to come to the NFC West as a Cardinals fan. No lie, I'd rather him not. If he did, that division is stacked with talent. But again, I'm surprised that the 49ers haven't been mentioned with Deebo Samuel obviously being injured. The fact that they might need someone in there who sort of can play that deep threat as well. Although Garoppolo doesn't actually go for deep threat as often as you actually would think. I saw a crazy stat of how often he actually does, and it's not a lot. So be interesting. See if he does actually make it back in. We're seeing a lot of players of that kind of era on the sidelines at the moment. We talk about Cap. We obviously talk about Cam as well. So it'll be interesting to see what actually comes of that. So, yeah, plenty of NFL chat today. Let's change up. Let's go to Disneyland. NBA. New York Knicks. I'd say one of the most famous teams, we say, when you come outside of the States. You know, people know the Knicks. The troubles just keep mounting up for them. And obviously now they're starting to sort out their head coach, and they're trying to maybe potentially bring someone back in from the golden era almost in doing that. What do you reckon the correct moves to get that organisation back to levels of competing for championships? And I'm going to start with you, Daniel, on this one. How far and what do they need to do?
It's funny because when we talk about the Knicks, yes, they're one of the one of the more famous brands of the NBA. Outside of the US, and funny enough, they've not won anything since the 70s. So it's just interesting that they're quite known, and I think that goes credit to the team. But I think mainly going back to what they can do in terms of sort of themselves, I think it's ownership. I think ownership is the issue with me personally. I think he tries to dabble too much into the organization. I don't think they hire the right, from the top down. I don't think they hire correctly the right individuals or the right pieces. And I think I think that's why I think Madison Square Garden is a great venue. People love playing it. Jordan loved playing there. New York City is one of the few places that players would actually actively want to go and play their football in terms of New York. I mean, of their basketball in New York. So it is a situation of ownership. I think once ownership changes, I think you start to see that. I think Dolan's, for those who don't know, it's James Dolan who owns the company or the team. And he's not been a great owner at all. He always has fights with these players. I think he had a massive row with Charles Oakley in the past. And so, I think it's one of those situations where if he leaves and they get better ownership and then they change the structure from the top bottom, I think that would help the Knicks get back to hopefully where they are, because right now the East is there for the taking, really. Outside of Giannis and the Bucks and maybe Toronto, that's it, really. Obviously, we'll have to see what Brooklyn does with KD and Kyrie, but that's it, really. So again, the East is there for the opening.
I'll start this off by don't sleep on my Celtics, because the Celtics on the East is pretty much the team, I think. And obviously you got the Heat getting a lot better as well. But on the Knicks, the only way that they're actually going to be able to make this more of an attractive proposition and joining there from free agents or head coaches, decent head coaches, is if James Dolan sells the team. Because I think what he's actually done is he's ruined the whole heart and soul of New York. Like, please believe this: if the Knicks are making a playoff run and or a championship run, then please believe over the Giants, over anyone in that whole city, that will be the most important thing. That would be the biggest story. I think what he does, where he's, if the fans can't say something to him, a fan said, "Oh, can you sell the team?" Then he throws them out and bans them. Someone said something on the street to him, and he goes over and argues with them. The Black Lives Matter situation, where like pretty much, it was like a nothing statement, really. And then he was the last owner, last team to actually put out a message about it. And it's only because there was, upheaval from all of the staff, apparently, that he buckled, and then he put out this like weak as water statement. That is a New York team. That is a multicultural city. It's supposed to is one of the biggest names in sports, whether they're doing well or not. And unfortunately, he just ruins that. So nothing's going to happen. No free agents are going to go there, like Kyrie and KD, not going to go there. And no decent head coach is going to go there, really, as well, because the end of the day is that the show is all about James Dolan, and that's all it's about. So unfortunately, while he's there, nothing will happen.
Good timing. Do you know, here's a bit of a fun fact for you. Do you know what the value is for the New York Knicks as a franchise?
Oh, through the roof.
Value maybe 3.1 billion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Good guess. 4.6.
He's not going to sell.
I mean, who's going to buy? It's not just you're going to say who's
Oh,
going to.
there'll be plenty of buyers.
Oh, there'll be buyers. There'll be buyers.
But
100%.
4.6 billion. That's a lot.
There'll be buyers. There'll be buyers. You need to remember,
He ain't gonna sell it.
New York is still the home of New York's still Wall Street in terms of it's old school money. There are people in New York that make billions. US still has the highest number of billionaires in the world, so there are billionaires who will want to buy. I promise you that 100%. I'm not even gonna be. I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Mark Zuckerberg wants to buy the Knicks either. To be fair,
there'll be no privacy for any of those players after that.
It just he won't sell. The Knicks make him too much money. I think he also owns the Rangers as well. So he owns a few New York teams, but he needs to go. Realistically speaking,
he gets in his own way. He doesn't stop. And the thing is that I was over in New York the last time that they was in the championships against the Rockets, and I was a kid then, and it was just like absolutely the city was rocking, and it hasn't had anything like that. Obviously, bar the Giants because the Jets suck. There's never been anything. Oh, obviously the Rangers have been doing well in recent years, but it's like unfortunately it's him. He has to be the center of attention. Like when Trayvon Martin, incident happened, and rather than him just putting out a statement, he puts together a song. Like the guy's just a nut job. I hope he sells the team, and then until then, there's no point.
Now, this is going to get interesting. So I was just about to go to the AOB, any other business part of the show, where you guys can choose a little rant and get it over. And Andre's look like he's pumped
ranty,
up,
feeling ranty today.
This is his dream, getting to rant now for 2 minutes. So, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
You marked, get set, go.
Right. I mean, this week I'll probably talk about there's Kendrick Perkins versus KD versus Kyrie situation. I think it's quite unfortunate in this time that these guys can't actually band together. The whole situation is that Perkins seemed to be a big supporter of KD. Even KD even mentioned him in his speech when he won the MVP. And then since then, Kendrick Perkins, since retiring, he's decided to be, cheerleader in chief for LeBron James. And I just think it's sad in this situation that, you've got people bickering and arguing rather than actually teaming up together in this situation where, there's supposed to be solidarity within the players, not one person just cheering on any particular player. Even he had something to and fro with Skip Bayless, a couple of days ago, where he put up an old picture to prove how long he's known LeBron of when they were in AAU as kids. I just think it's sad, and I think that Kendrick Perkins is actually a good analyst, but I think he's doing himself a disservice if he keeps on doing this like LeBron fanboy, cheering on pom-pom stuff that he does all the time and saying that he's the greatest athlete ever, which is absolutely ridiculous because everyone knows that Steven Gerrard is. But no, but it's just silly. Absolutely. It's just like at this time, just like, guys kind of just band together, stay on message. Kyrie, stop doing this nonsense where he's just trying to be like the leader of the NBA players. Apparently he was all for players playing until they said that you can't come because you can't be in the bubble. Like, it's just self-indulgence nonsense. So, get it together, guys.
Daniel, your rant for the week.
Well, I mean, to be fair, what can I say after that? Andre's probably went full circle, full cycle on the rants. I think for me, rant of the week would probably be just the sort of state of the sports affair. I think, there's not real, you look at sort of baseball, they're fighting over the amount of games and money. I think basketball, they're fighting over whether the bubble's going to go ahead, but some players don't want to play. I think some are using the excuse of Black Lives Matter as a cover to not play. Not saying all of them, but I do think one or two are. Others, they don't want to sort of go away from their family for sort of 3 months, which I understand. But, some people have business trips that are like that, or people that go over to the military do that all the time. And then you look at sort of close to home in the UK as well with sort of football, the lack of fans in the stadium. I think overall, I think my issue is, sort of my rant for the week probably be sports, and we have no clear leadership in terms of even from the players in terms of, look, this is what we want to do as a collective. Let's have the phone call conversation. Even when you look at Kyrie, that sort of splits. Not everyone wants to do it. There's no real direction from the guys or even from Kyrie. It's like, look, this is what we want. So I think it's mixed messages. I think, my thing is, and this is maybe going a bit political, is gone are the days when we actually had proper real leaders who people designated as the voice of the crowd. I think sometimes and too many times we want to be the face, the voice, and lead everything. And sometimes you need to recognize your strengths, come off the man, come off the hour, as they say. Well, they should probably change it to person now. But, Colin Kaepernick, for example, I think part of his protest, which was great, but part of his protest was also because he wanted to be the face of it. He wanted to so everyone to go through him. And it's like, look, mate, this movement is big and it's bigger than one individual. Let's put the right people in place to help direct it. And I just think with sports in general right now, I think, we're just lacking real leaders. I'm not saying LeBron isn't. I'm not saying other sports stars aren't. But we're just lacking real leaders to just have a collective voice and just put ego aside and just do what's best for not just themselves, but for the industry and for the people who are watching it as well.
Agreed. I give you that. I'm not going to talk about my ranks. It was me talking about Arsenal. I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep that away from the show. I'm going to end on a positive note without trying to contradict, obviously, what Daniel said. It has been good to have some sport back. We've obviously had some topics to talk about. I just hope, obviously echoing a little bit what you said, that it's done in a safe way. So we're not just putting the sports people in harm's way as well. We are getting...
Your internet is crashing. Sam's the host for 1 week and he has bad internet.
Look at this. This is this type of stuff you can't buy.
Andre, I think this is a sign from the heavens that you need to be the host from now on. Just saying.
Look at this.
It's completely frozen. It's completely frozen.
We gotta wait for him to come back so we can say goodbye. You didn't even get to say peace.
To be fair, we could actually end the show like that, just like on that note, guys.
What can you say? This. You
just
can't
say
buy
on that note. On that note, it's obviously clear that no one wanted to hear about Arsenal. Even the internet didn't want to hear about it.
I know. Sam Kroenke just pulled his Wi-Fi. It was just like, nah, you're not going to be talking crap about my team anymore. I don't know what's going on here. Well, okay. All right, let me do a temporary ending just in case we can't do it. Oh my God. Well, Sam's fun fact is Sam's internet has been messed up, so it's going to leave us to say goodbye. The 1 week I'm not supposed to be hosting. I'm supposed to be taking a day off. You see, I have to jump back in again. This is what I do. I'm ready for this gig all the time, you know.
That's what I'm saying, isn't it? It's a sign from the heavens, mate. Signs from the heavens. We only want Andre the guest, Andre the host, Andre the everything, Andre the magnificence.
Unbelievable. Guys, thank you very much for watching us. I'm sure you will be hearing from Sam at some point in this internet universe when it comes back. Please keep on subscribing to at SportsHeads official on Instagram, at Verge Magazine online on Twitter, and at Verge Mag on Insta, and then obviously host of all of our sports content, which is at Alternative Sport. Guys, thank you very much. Appreciate you, Daniel, and Sam. I will see you at some point in this universe. Guys, tune in on iTunes, Spotify, so forth, all those good things. All right, peace.